Good morning, Mr. Eazi. How you doing? You good?
Yeah, everything nice. Thanks, man.
Good, man. Good to have you here, man. Your latest single, Exit, it caught my attention because it features Soweto Gospel Choir. The world renowned and slightly different direction for you. It's a nice track, man. Tell me about what you expect in terms of how that track will be received, where you expect it to be played, and speak on the video. It was nice. It shot well, and it looked like you had some fun as well.
Bro, I had so much fun shooting that video. It's like full circle moment for me, dream come true. Cause like the legendary group, I've known Soweto Gospel Choir before I even like became a musician, and I'd have thought maybe it would take 20 years to be able to be on a record with them. So to be able to be on a record with them, and it's another thing to be on a record, but it's another thing for like I'm on records and I don't feature on the music video. So to actually be in the music video, plus we had to fly. Alison, the producer, had this vision of me on a mountaintop, with the choir singing. And so we had to get in a chopper and fly to the top of Drakensberg. And the Soweto Gospel Choir, like a lot of the choir members, they had like fright, from because like they don't like to get into choppers. Not a lot of people like to get into choppers. So even that was a process of even breaking their chopper fright. So it was a lot of challenges to get up there. But once we got up there, it was just like vibes. It was cold, but everybody could just like it just sort of like made sense. Um and that song is, hugely reggae inspired, as you could hear from the guitars and the drums. So when people say that's not an Afrobeat song, that's a reggae fusion song, and just goes to show like my range and how I classify myself, to be honest. And the record is really real to me. And the lyrics, everything I said in that lyrics is real to me. I never used to count my blessings, but these days I do. So it's really what I want from the record, or what I expect from the record, is that for those who listen to the record, they come with me on my journey, and hear it. So it's not like for you to dance and for you to like scream. It's like for you to like come with me on this journey and, introspect, because I was introspecting and introspect and say, can you find yourself in any of the lyrics? Can you get something from it? Can you picture yourself in the journey? That's it.
I noted from the PR that I was sent over that you said you wrote the track when you were disappointed with everything, music
Yeah.
business, feeling betrayed by friends. Help me to understand that a little bit more. I mean, I can imagine the music, the track represents completion. You've come through that. You've
Yeah.
grown through that. You're good. It's resolved. But speak to me about what was going on.
I think, no, I think actually, I don't know why I keep saying I think. When you come into the music industry and you think it's just music, like you watch TV and you think it's just like fun and games, but then you realize that there's the business that makes all the fun and games happen. Like it's the business of fun and games. And you start to see that sometimes it looks like the different rules within the music industry, as if I were maybe selling a telephone, because there's some things that will be straight up rules and everybody knows. Because like I remember being on this one call when I was trying to clear um my song with Nicki Minaj. So I put out a song in 2020, I think. 2020, with Nicki Minaj and Major Lazer. And I remember being on the calls to clear it, like to make sure that I got the right amount of publishing on that record. And I remember someone on the other call on the label side tell me, "Oh, Easy, you shouldn't handle your business. You should get people to handle your business." And it didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, what world would somebody tell the owner of a business not to handle their business? Like, I don't know, that just seemed like if I had a telephone store and somebody was coming to buy shares in the telephone store, yes, I would have my lawyers there. But at no point would the person coming to buy shares tell me not to be involved in the sales of my shares of my business. So it was times like that, and I would see people move funny when you know, it looked like music business was about to get bigger, or, fighting for things that made the music start to become uninteresting to me because I started to see the reality, and how complicated the music business is, and dealing with some people who I had thought were friends. And then when the paperwork comes, I see something different, and I just feel like very betrayed and let down. And sometimes it'll be like you're having to, in order to fight for what is rightfully yours, you're ending up losing on losing on growth. So it's like you almost have to, when people say sell your soul, it doesn't really mean, going to make a deal with the devil, but like just let go of a piece of you just to sacrifice so that you could grow. And when you say no, you're not going to let go, you see how that stops. So it's like you can also almost see the effect of you standing to your truth, and you sort of start having all this thought that, okay, should you have just let go of yourself and just grow, but and then seeing how the cycle continues, because when you let go of yourself and grow, the next time you're trying to snake somebody, you'll be like, okay, that also happened to me. It's the game is the game. So all those realities were making me like just sick of it all, sick of the music business. I was like bored and tired of the monotonicity, the expectation from people to put out a hit record, and like even realizing that hit record, I have no control over that hit record, because like my hits were not songs like I thought would be hits. Like I just having fun in the studio and drop them, and it's even some of the songs I never thought would blow up. Like my last album in 2018, the song I didn't even put any marketing on became the biggest song on the album. Meanwhile, the song I put all the marketing dollars on, you know, nobody was really, yeah, it's a good song, but nobody was really, didn't have that amount of commercial success. So at this point, I was sort of like in a crossroads, just weighing everything. And of course, with success, as you climb up, you lose friends because you might not change. You actually you change because you grow. And some people might not be comfortable with that change, especially if they're not changing at the same time. And just having to realize that, one of the things that prided my life about was that I was still with the same people I started with. And so the moment that started to change, I started to feel like I was losing myself, but I was just growing, and growth is natural. I remember reading this thing that when a tree is becoming taller, it needs to shed branches, not because it hates the branches, but because that's just the natural order of things. Yeah, so that was the place I was, um, so I didn't even want to record music anymore. And I just went to the producer's house. We're just chilling, and he just plays the record, February 16, 2021. And as he plays it, I just start to, and then he's like, okay, let's record. It wasn't even a proper studio. It was just like on the dining table, just a mic, small speakers. And then I record the song. I never re-recorded it, sent it to Soweto Gospel Choir. They sent back the verse. Voila, we shot what I think is my most beautiful video till date. And I just want to make sure I share it. Like I just want to make sure every Mr. Eazi fan or everybody that has interacted with my music come with me on this journey.
My next question was going to be, why is it taking so long to release this album? But I think you've just answered that, really. Um, that must have been quite frustrating for you. Or now, when you look back on it, is your journey just your journey? Is that just the period you had to grow through to be where you are now?
Yeah, I think it's coming. It's coming at the perfect time. You cannot rush your journey. It's just like, I think it's just like a kid, sort of like you expecting your kid to start to walk or to start to talk at a particular time. But like, yeah, there's a time naturally where you expect the kid to do some things, but it's their journey, and it will be wrong to expect your kid to go on the same journey as the other kid, or individuals to go on the same journey. Like, everybody has their journey. The timings are different, the seasons are different. Everybody can be crying at the same time, or laughing at the same time, or speaking at the same time. Like, and so it's just that this is the right time for me to drop this. I could have dropped it earlier, but I needed to delay it for it to really come together and sort of like fit. And I think it fits now, honestly.
Yeah, Exit is the sixth track I think that you've released ahead of the album dropping.
Yeah.
Why did you name the album what you named it, bro? Tell the fans what the name of the album is, and why did you name it that?
So the name of the album is The Evil Genius. And part of what I was going through that time was, at the time I was making the album, was, people, like, obviously, because like I've not done things the traditional way, I've not moved the traditional way. I still own all my masters. I still own my label. I've just kept everything independent, kept everything, African ownership, and I've like, even my way of life is just my way of life. It always gets misinterpreted, or it was getting a lot misinterpreted. Like, it's like you expect, because you're an Afrobeat star, you should have a crew of like 50 man them or 20 man them always rolling with you. But I'm a loner. Like, I can't. I go crazy when I have so many people around me. I just want to be alone. Like, I've once performed at the O2, and I just came in an Uber, performed, and got back in my Uber and went home, because that's my truth, but because of the way I move differently, people always have opinions and overthink the way I do my things, right? But beyond that, as a musician, your image is part of like your career. So you get lost in building this image, because people have to like you to like your music, or people have to like you to support you, to interview you. And so you just get so fixated on building this image, this perfect image of yourself, to the point where you lose yourself. That persona that you're pushing, that, it's like, oh yeah, it's like split personalities. Like, I am Sasha Fierce, and I'm Beyonce. And it's like, but like, at some point, because the human brain, I don't think has grown to the point of properly distincting. It's like, where do the lines blur? And even when your own parents now don't look at you the same, and they're looking at you through, even though you grew up with them, they're looking at you through the articles they're reading, or what they're seeing on the blogs. At what point does reality differentiate from, does Mr. Eazi and Tosin, like, at what point is it different? So I was like, I had realized I'd become so obsessed with that image of myself, that anytime I heard something contrary to the image I was building for myself, I would get so upset and just go straight into like pleaser mode. So going out of my way, even if it meant me, you know, like going out of my way to make you feel like I am this person, and whoever this person is not my truth. And then it robs me of actually being able to introspect and say, who am I? So At this point, I think one of the things I'd heard about myself, which I thought was crazy, was I was speaking to one of the big Nigerian artists. I was trying to sign him to my label, and he was like, "Oh, easy, I want to sign this deal, but people, I've heard stuff, people speaking like you're some evil genius," and I was really upset. I spent 1 hour 50 minutes, or almost 2 hours, trying to convince him that I'm not an evil genius. And I'm like, wait a minute, why am I even trying to convince this guy? Like, what does that have to do with this deal? Like, you're either going to take my money and give me my albums, or you're going to, like, you know, go somewhere else. And but in that whole process, I'm thinking about it, I had to accept this. I'm like, okay, that's the craziest thing I've heard about myself, that I'm the evil genius. And I have to accept it. And in accepting it, I can let go of this obsession of this image and actually ask myself, who am I? Who do I think I am? And then through the songs on the album and the topics on the album, I let you, for the first time, I let you in to who the real man behind Mr. Eazi is. And you hear me speak about family, you hear me speak about love, you hear me speak about betrayal, you hear me speak about politics, you hear my opinions on things you've never really heard me from, and you see me nakedly. And at the end of the day, when you go through the album, you should have met the evil genius. And if you feel, yeah, this guy is really the evil genius, then I am the evil genius, because that's your opinion of me. And if you feel I'm not, well, that's your opinion of me. But I've defined who I am through the lyrics of the album, and it was a really an intense process, but it was a very liberating process for me. And every time I listen to the album, it's like, oh, I interact with the art. It's like I'm meeting myself again.
Of the 6 tracks, Legalize, Chop Time, No Friend, Advice, Fefe na Fefe, and Exit, which one do you bounce more often than not? And have you got a favorite track off the album? I ask everybody this. I never expect you to have one, but you may do. You never know.
I think it always like yesterday I was shooting like a performance session to for the album, and I suddenly for the, like for I suddenly of all these performances, I enjoyed the one I like enjoyed the most was Good Loving. And like it's been so long since Good Loving was my favorite, because it changes every time. But as we speak right now, Good Loving is is my favorite. Like I was just enjoying myself. So it always that's why I said every time I listen to the album, I'm always discovering something new. It's probably of all the albums I've made, this is the first one I've played so much. It's almost too much. Like I was saying, wow, like I've performed this album enough times that I don't need to perform the album again. I performed it in my bathroom, in my car. But yeah, it switches every time. But as we're speaking right now, Good Loving is like, as at today, 10:27 a.m. It's Good Loving.
What are you expecting to do big number? I mean, you touched earlier on the fact that some of the tracks that you've made before that blew up, you didn't expect them to, you just kind of did them. And I hear
Yeah.
that so often. I hear that so often from artists, you know. And when I was researching and just kind of getting familiar with you all over again ahead of this interview, I was playing my favorites, you know, Leg Over, Pour Me Water. I was watching a video with Eddie Caddy, who's in Strictly Come Dancing at the moment in the UK and
Yeah.
doing really well. And I was just looking at that period and just thinking to myself, you know, I wonder which one of these tracks is going to catch fire like that. Do you come out of the studio or at the end of the process even caring about that, or are you thinking more about the next year or so performing,
So
you know, these tracks?
usually my brain is always like every time, because like I'm so analytical, like I'm an engineer, right? So I'm always like on the data. I'm always like, you know, on the marketing. It's like when I'm making it, when I finish making the song, I'm like, okay, this is what this one can do. This is a TikTok record. Like when I made Patek, I knew that, okay, Patek, I need to do a dance video. And I done the dance video and I go dance with the market women. I knew that would be viral. I knew this is what you push on TikTok. It's a TikTok record, and this is for the clubs. And it did exactly. At the time I made it, I didn't know it was going to be a smash until I put it on Instagram. But once I saw the reaction, I knew, okay, this is a single, blah, blah, blah. But on this album, it's different. And you could see that with the choice of the singles. Like, I'm not dropping singles that I'm thinking this is a commercial record. I'm dropping singles as this is telling my story per time. Like, I just got engaged. Legalize was about me getting engaged. So I put out Legalize. I don't give a fuck if you like it or not. It's like, and I guess it's like the spirit of art. And it's like when an artist is painting, when Leonardo da Vinci or whoever is painting, he's painting for the purpose of painting art. And it's presenting you with the art. And that's what I'm doing on this album. This album it's not, it's a record. It's a record of my life through 16 tracks, 2.5 years of my life, right? It's not for you to, and that's the beauty of, even having my own label, in that I'm doing shit that if I were signed to a label, they won't even sign off on all this shit. Like, I'm commissioning 16 pieces from 13 different artists in 8 countries for each individual piece. Then I'm doing art exhibitions where you come and you put your headphones, you listen to the track and you interact with the art. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, I should be doing release parties, big release parties, and people jam into it. But that's not the purpose of this. This is A-side music, B-side art. And I'm giving you this piece of art. Like, this is museum shit, you know. And that's the difference in my thinking. And now that I'm putting out the album, that's why, like, I was speaking to my team yesterday and they were presenting to me, and I'm like, no, 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 you guys are getting it wrong. This is only awareness. We just want people to know that the album is out. We want to drive them to go listen to the album. We don't want to, it's like, okay, what's the single? We're like, there's no single. Like, just go consume it, enjoy it, and then enjoy it. And then we keep it going. If I want to, and I have the next album ready, which is not this, which is vibes. So this is not vibes. So we're not going to treat it like it's vibes. We're going to treat it like it's art, and it should be in a museum. And that's the energy behind this. And that's why you could see, the video I just dropped. You'd be like, okay, this song is not what you play in a club. So why are you dropping that as a single before the album? Because it's not meant to be played in a club. It's meant, and even the audience is different. It's not like, even the marketing is not like we're trying to put send the marketing to everybody. No, we're trying to really, really control. If you get it, you get it. If you attach to this, you attach to it, and you listen to it like that. So that's the difference in this um process. And of course, if there are tracks that cut across on the project and then become sort of like commercial radio or club or TikTok records, it's like, okay, thank you very much. We love that. And then, everybody can enjoy that. But what I want is to take my fans through this journey and for them to listen to the track. And when they see me on the street, to be able to be like, yo, Eazi, what's up? I heard what you were saying in We Day, man. I relate to this thing in this. That is it, and even when I start touring, this album is gonna be very close. There's gonna be a tour of only the 16 songs. You will not hear any of my other songs. You will come, you sit down, it will go from track 1 to track 16. Case closed. That's how I'm touring with the album. It's probably going to be like 10 cities, and it's like performances that look like you're in an art gallery. So it's totally different, when it's, I'm just blessed to be able to have the creative freedom to be able to do this and the economic freedom to be able to fund it.
it was going to be my next question, and you pretty much told the story already. But the 13 artists representing 8 African countries that have contributed to the physical art pieces that represent each of the album's 16 tracks, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
I love that. I think artists should do more of this sort of thing. But it's interesting you've attributed the fact that many don't, or that it doesn't happen to labels not giving license or seeing the value in it. But talk about the process of that. How did you whittle down the choices in terms of which artists you used, and what's the thinking behind the art that is produced and where it goes, where it's presented? Can people buy the pieces? I mean, is there any other incentives to kind of get involved in the art and music crossover that I guess the fans can be a part of? Speak on it.
I mean, like, first off, when the album drops on Friday on Spotify, you'll be able to like interact with each piece as you listen to each album, each song, which is how I want to present this. That you look at the art and at the same time you listen to the music. So you'll be able to achieve that on some of the platforms that allow you to do that. But the process of selecting these artists it was divine in a lot of ways, in that I would just see the artist's work. I wouldn't know where they're from. I would just see the work, and immediately I would say, this artist will be able to create. This is the artist that will create the piece for Legalized. This is the artist that will create the piece for Fefenefe. And when I will send the music, when we'll reach out to the artist and send it to them, 99% of the time, there will be no need to have any long discussion. The only questions they will ask is like, am I free to do whatever I want? I'm like, yeah, you're free. That's the whole point of this. So that's why I say it was divine in that sense. Um, and yeah, these exhibitions have been hugely successful, in that a lot of people have felt it. Hey, a lot of people, first time first timers to exhibitions, have been able to sort of like access African art in a way they've never accessed it before, start to look at it differently. And it's just beautiful in this time of redefinition of what it means to be African, that it could come with so much pride. You could be in London at the Somerset House and be there for African art and African music, and no boundaries. Um, and just what that means to our identity, even to me, what it means to be an African man in this time, and the strength that comes with that. Yeah, and I'm still thinking of ways to, introduce this more to my fans. And it's new, just as it's new to me. It's new to a lot of my fans, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes. There's this book that will soon be available. So, and like, I'm gonna put it on Amazon. Obviously, it's gonna be limited, right? Um, but I want to make sure like it is people can go with me on this journey. And then we go back to the vibes. Like, the vibes is unlimited. I'm all about vibes. Even when I was making this album, I was thinking to myself, why am I being too serious? Because like, this is not what I made music for. I made music to get away from seriousness. But here am I making this music and just being serious personally in all the songs, which was a contrast, but I'm thankful.
I just want to ask you this before we part ways. You founded Empower Africa in 2018 as a talent incubator program designed to accelerate the careers of African artists, right?
Yeah.
Um, all these years later, I guess when you look at the state of play, in terms of music and the arts in that respect, it was a good move, wasn't it? It was a shrewd move. It was a necessary move. Talk about how necessary you see it moving forward, and just what it can bring to the marketplace that's maybe different to everybody, what
Yeah,
everyone's used to.
I think it was a good move. It was needed at the time. I'm sure it motivated a lot of people to do the same. Um, and and I think there's still need for loads of companies that are focused primarily on pushing African music and developing African artists and producers, and doing it independently, to the point of being able to get enough knowledge and experience to then do proper bilateral partnerships, like partnerships that make sense, like partnerships that are done respectfully, you know. And I think there's more. I was just reading something about Maven. Don Jazzy is someone that I've been following before I even went into the music industry, and seeing what he's been able to do. There's talks of, the valuation of Maven being over 100 mil, which I think is still an understatement. It should even be more. But that just shows, the power of African music and African culture. And I think is an encouragement for more entrepreneurs, artists, and otherwise to is a signal to show that there's still the need. There's 300 million kids, or over 300 million kids under 30. And I bet you over 5 million of them are creatives. Over 50% of them are creatives in one form or the other. And I think African creativity is the next crude, it's the next cobalt. And there's need for more businesses that African owned businesses that focus on, nurturing, producing, and exporting our culture in the right way, um, to the world, and in the process, empowering lots of people back home through jobs, through careers, and just motivating people so that there's more role models. Just like getting into the industry, I saw Jay-Z and I knew that, oh, it was possible for somebody to, be a businessman and build a business and build the music business and use the credibility to get into other businesses and get access to a network of people. If I didn't see Jay-Z do that, I wouldn't have seen any example. But like I had to go all the way to Jay-Z. But now kids back home don't need to go all the way to Jay-Z. They can see it from Don Jazzy. They can see it from myself. They can see it from other locally brewed. No, I'm 100% African, born in Africa, bred and buttered in Africa, from Nigeria to Ghana, from the south of Nigeria, born in Port Harcourt, to the west, Lagos to Ogun State, moving through Togo, Benin, driving all the way to Ghana, not even Accra, Kumasi, to go to school. So, for all those people who are in Kumasi, they know that something great can still come out of Kumasi, out of Accra. I made this album in Cotonou, in Ouida. It's a global record. You're interviewing me right now about this record that was made in Cotonou. So what does that mean for other kids making music in Cotonou? So more role models, and I'm just blessed to be able to do this. These are the things that, part of making this album was me even having an existential crisis, and just saying, what is life really about? And for me, I just feel life sums up to sacrifices, and the sacrifices live on, and the our lives, the way we inspire people, that's what lives on. What we create, legacy. So yeah, it's fulfillment.
Mr. Eazi, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. Good luck with the
Thank you.
album coming out. And we'll know that we'll catch up soon whenever you're in the UK. Just touch base and get your team to send me that book, because I definitely want one.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Let me know. Let me
Good
know.
luck.
Please give us feedback when you see gift pack. Let me know
I
your
will do,
thoughts
100%.
and share what you think about it when you see it.